Hello, YouTube. Uh, Dragon Samurai 300 here. Uh, I wanted to go over my thoughts on how to make Dead by Daylight scary again, or better yet, even scarier. And please ignore the stutter. I can't really control it. It's something I've struggled with my entire life. But, anyways, I've been a huge horror fan for a very long time. I've been um, watching horror movies since junior high. And honestly, I have quite a few ideas for how Dead by Daylight can be scary again. I've played Dead by Daylight since Chucky was released, and I've been pretty avid player. I play pretty regularly, usually every other day when I'm not working, or if friends are on and they want me to play. From my personal experience playing Dead by Daylight, um, yeah, everything is it's bright. Everything is very visible. Like the killers are definitely scary. Definitely fun to play as, and somewhat challenging to go against, especially if you're not familiar with the killer's mechanics or you haven't quite figured out how to counter their abilities just yet. Um, One thing that I've noticed is that most killers they have similar chase music. Uh, some of them have powers that are somewhat easy to counter. Um, and they all, see for whatever reason, have the same hook. Like when you're in a match, no matter what kill you have, their hooks are almost always the same. But when you go to customize your hook charms, all the hooks look different. Well, a lot of them look different, which is unusual because wouldn't you expect every killer to have a unique hook in match? Um, One thing that I have noticed that would potentially help is ambiance. In every good, credible horror movie, you have good ambiance, build up to the scares. Uh, if Dead by Daylight incorporated good ambiance and build up, aside from the terror radius and killer stain, it would make Dead by Daylight a lot more scary, because then survivors are uh, getting a little audio cues that the killer is getting close, or they're being hunted. Uh, Another thing to keep in mind would be to uh, reduce visibility. If the survivors can see the killer coming, it sort of takes away from the scariness. Because, like, as an example, let's just say you're going against Deathslinger, uh, uh, and you see him coming long before he gets close enough to actually do any damage to you. You can easily just run away and just flip him the bird as you leave. But imagine you just don't have that visibility. What if? uh, instead of you being used to blind killers solely, what if the flashlights were your main one of your main tools for seeing where you're going? Because then you have that suspense, that ambiance, that immersiveness. If your flashlight is your main tool for seeing where you're going, then you that ups the scare level. I mean, I would definitely be scared shitless if I can't see anything outside the line of sight for your flashlight. And for those who don't bring a flashlight, um, they would have just very limited visual acuity, or I don't know the right word for it, but they would just have very limited night vision. Like they can only see about so far in front of them. Uh, uh, and with a flashlight, you can see down halls, through windows, and so on. Uh, I know there are some stealth killers like Ghostface, the Pig, and Wraith, who can go into stealth mode and you can't really see them. They don't give off our terror radius until they either start chasing somebody or they come out of stealth mode. Other things that would help amp up the fear factor in Dead by Daylight is if they had objects or little sorry, little bits and pieces of stuff hidden throughout the map that hint at the killer or relate to the killer in some way. Like maybe seeing there's sort of victims strewn about. Um, could have like NPCs to act as like a carnage fodder. Uh, uh, like you could have like a random person, like a hitchhiker, enter a map when Leatherface is the killer, and you could have Leatherface could earn a little extra points by killing the NPCs. Like, and this could work with any other killer as well. Like, they can get extra points for finding and killing NPCs for little extra points. They may not give as much points as killing a survivor, but it would still help. It would still offer something extra for the killer to do. I know that a lot of players have been complaining that survivors don't have much to do aside from repairing generators and avoiding the killer. And killers, it's even worse because their sole objective is to kill all the survivors. What would help amp up the fear factor in that regard is have high risk objectives, stuff that would essentially be making people watch their back. Like if you're a survivor, and you're going against the pig, one thing that would be a cool key factor is to have puzzles hidden throughout the map that could help the survivors get out faster or give them an alternative means of escape. Uh, so, in a sense, similar to um, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, they have multiple escape routes uh, that require a bit of sleuthing in order to figure out. However, since this is the pig in Dead by Daylight we're talking about, these puzzles come with risks. Uh, like these puzzles come with booby traps. So you mess up even once, you're getting injured or down if you're already injured. So yeah, there is risk with everything. Uh, and there are also potential lore friendly ways to counter the killers based off of their already established lore. Like, as an example, if you're going up against the clown, you could have the clown's chemicals set somewhere in the map. And if the survivors um if they like get into the chemical set and create the right mixture, they could actually stun or slow down the killer. Slow down the clown for maybe just like 5 to 10 seconds, if that, at least long enough for the survivor to effectively disappear. Uh, uh, use the killer's own shtick against him. That way, there's not necessarily a need to have a kill the killer mechanic. Just have extra stuff thrown in that gives survivors a different alternative to countering the killer in some way. What you could do is like along those routes, like um, as in another example with the xenomorph. Let's say there is a airlock system somewhere in the map, but you need a code in order to get it to work, and pieces of the code are scattered throughout the map. If you can get all the pieces of the code, get the killer close to the airlock system, you can effectively flush them out of the match and escape. Uh, Another good example of a potential method for escape is like with Ghostface. Could be a phone booth somewhere in the map, and you have to go around collecting coins hidden in the map until you have enough to pay for a call, and you can use that call to call the police. Uh, uh, and then police will start to spawn in the map, and they will track and try to capture Ghostface. And they once they find him, they tase him, catch him, and haul him off. And then the survivors can escape. uh, all these methods that for like survivors coming up with finding a different way to win the match aside from repairing gens and escaping. Um, this would be especially good for solo queue players, so that way they can escape without the worry of, oh, my teammates are not going to give a rat's ass about me. They're just going to let me die, and I'll lose so fast. Blah 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 blah, which is a huge problem, especially for me because I being a special needs kind of person, and I don't always think critically, especially if I actually do run into the killer and can't seem to shake him off. If I get hooked and don't have any friends in the group, I'm usually screwed because most of the time, randos I meet do not play as a team. They usually just leave me to die on Hug, and then I leave the match with less than optimal rewards. And as for killer side, potential ways to scare the shit out of survivors if they want to be creative. Their extra objectives is to incite fear. It's not just chase and kill. You got to set the stage for that very end objective. The more you scare your the survivors, the less likely they're going to make smart choices. You got to make the survivors paranoid. You got to make them second guess themselves. There could also be, like I said earlier, NPCs you can kill for extra points. Uh, Other things is potentially give killers methods to sabotage, way a means of escaping or slipping away or getting out of chase. Things like um, moving objects to block vaulting spots like windows, pallets. Put something under the pallet so he can't be dropped. And survivors actually have to move it in order to gain access to the pallet again. Things like that could potentially add tension, make things scarier, make things people have to think more carefully, try to plan things out a little bit more carefully. I've watched copious amounts of horror movies, so I know what makes a good horror game scarier based off of my experience with playing those sort of games and watching horror movies. I've even read and written my own horror novels before, so I know how to scare people. Uh, and the more creative you get, the more fear you will incite from people, and the more people will enjoy and be immersed in the game. So, those are pretty much my ideas for how to make Dead by Daylight scary again, or better yet, scarier than it used to be. Uh, those are my thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed listening and following along with my explanations. I'm hoping that you guys will like, subscribe, comment, and stuff like that. Have fun, and I hope that this video comes to the attention of the Dead by Daylight developers in the near future. So that way, potentially, I could have a hand in helping to make Dead by Daylight better. I know a lot of the stuff that I'm suggesting is hard or could be difficult to implement in the game. I'm just throwing ideas out. Thank you once again, and see ya.